for the whole nation. She got no fuel, no quotation. The battle brought in the inflation, bring on all this confusion. But the government take our award. Yesterday, no, our boats on my sword. 3 die and go to the god. Don't mean now, why I would on your award. NMFA, no stability. One lack, storage facility. Yes, incompatibility. I tell me, Nabu, the 1 way, on the bucket. Then they call me Fisherman, Fisherman, Fisherman. International Fisherman, Fisherman, Fisherman. Then they call me Fisherman, Fisherman, Fisherman. International Fisherman, Fisherman, Fisherman.
Many countries around the world are grappling with pollution. Ghana has been fighting the menace for years now, and efforts made to deal with the situation is yet to produce a satisfying result. The most common type of pollution is air and water pollution. According to scientists, a cocktail of chemical pollution which pervades the planet has reached a level that threatens the stability of the global ecosystem. Chemical pollution is being recorded from plastics, industrial compounds, sewage waste, pesticides and insecticides. Plastics is noted as the chief pollutant. Ghana became a first African nation in 2019 that joined the international campaign seeking to end plastic pollution. The nation became part of the Global Plastic Action Partnership and also outdoored the Ghana National Plastic Action Partnership. Fisherfolks along the Atlantic Ocean are feeling the effects of sea pollution. In a social media post recorded in June 2020, the then Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, explained that the United Nations General Assembly, by Resolution 63/111, designated 8 June each year as the World Oceans Day. According to him, the day is to raise global awareness of the vital importance of the ocean and the role they play in sustaining a healthy ocean.
The day is celebrated to educate people about the importance of oceans and importance of protecting waterways, watersheds, and ocean waters and habitat, and to encourage citizens of the world to take action to preserve and protect the oceans, as oceans generate 80% of our oxygen. Oceans are the world's largest source of protein for more than 3 billion people, such that around 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. Oceans absorb about 30% of carbon dioxide produced by humans, thereby reducing the impacts of global warming. The sea regulates our climate. It soaks up the heat and transports warm water from the equator to the poles and cold water from the poles to the tropics. This year's celebrations bring to fore the importance of oceans in supporting lives on Earth and the need for mankind to protect the health of our oceans so as to continue benefiting from the ocean and its related resources. Ghana, as a coastal state, needs to find innovative ways of utilizing its ocean resources without compromising the marine and coastal ecosystems that support life on Earth. The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation has developed a plastic management policy to innovatively and sustainably manage waste from plastics along the whole value chain. Again, we seek to institute a take-back system, ban single-use plastics, and promote reuse and recycling of plastics in order to reduce the amount of waste that enter the oceans from land-based sources.
In June 2022 again, Ghana joined the world community to observe World Oceans Day under the global theme, Revitalization, Collective Action for the Ocean.
Plastic waste has found its way into the surface water and marine environments due to our indiscriminate disposal methods. As a result of this situation, our waste streams, beaches, and oceans are immensely littered with plastic waste, including nose marks, unfortunately, plastic bags, disposable plastic cups, and takeaway containers, among others. This contributing to the chemical uptake in both plants and animals and adversely impact our environmental health. In Ghana, over 30,000 tons of municipal solid waste are generated every day, with only 40% collected, 38% dumped into open spaces, 9% dumped indiscriminately, and some 11% burned. The bigger question is to ask ourselves, where does your waste, whether solid or liquid, go? The unfortunate response has been evidently reflected in our oceans. Ladies and gentlemen, now the state of our ocean. The present state of our marine and coastal environment reflects the choices we have made in the past. Unregulated urban settlements and inappropriate waste management practices have brought about considerable pollution of coastal lagoons and wetlands. One need not go outside of Accra to witness this unfortunate. You know what is happening with the lagoons around here, and unfortunately our wetland in what we call it, when we go to Accra, the Sakomo. The deplorable state and unwelcoming stench of the Korea and Chemu lagoons today is a testimony of the recklessness with which we have chosen to treat our environment and in managing our waste. Unfortunately, before our very eyes, and in less than 10 years, the patient has now been added to the list of grossly polluted lagoons in the coastal areas. I'm a witness to that. I schooled in Kolebu here, and I know what has happened over the years. So I'm the principal witness in this matter. I'm afraid to state that many of our coastal lagoons who serve as fishing or fish spawning and nursery grounds are rapidly tracing the same path. And I'm afraid to say that we are becoming poorer for it. Ladies and gentlemen, well, some initiative to address these challenges. The government of Ghana observes that these developments on our coastal and marine environment with extreme concern. For this year's celebration, to ensure that we revitalize the health of our degraded marine ecosystem and by beating the menace of plastic pollution and contribute to attaining a cleaner, richer, and greener city in Ghana, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, in collaboration with key stakeholders, stakeholder institutions, particularly local government, fisheries and aquaculture, and even education. We, and then of course our private sector partners, we intend or we have embarked on educating the public on waste segregation and proper disposal of water. Delineation of the country into a proper or a great system for proper collection, storage and recycling of plastics, and assign public and private collectors to collect and store the plastic waste, and implement a great system for monitoring the collection and storing of these plastics. Madam Chairperson, at this stage, I will take some little time to explain what we mean by that. When I was appointed the minister for Nestle, what I found out there was a fairly robust plastic recycling regime in place, mostly done by the private sector, or be aided by the government agencies. But our analysis showed that the remuneration or the whole process is driven by a financial reward system. So this reward system has led to what we call the paradox. The more they collect, the more it appears that we are drowning the sea of plastic. Let me explain. For the plastics, there are so many ways of classifying them. But in the Ghanaian situation, I have said that those that get collected, we have categorized them into one category. And those that do not get collected, we have christened them orphan plastics. The paradox that I'm referring to is because of this financial system. Everybody wants to collect the disused and discarded for gallons, the DMA plastics, the overhead tax. Because when you put them on the scale, they weigh so much, and you get your compensation, the amount you pay. But for the orphan plastics, which are anything below the pet bottle, they are under 20 microns. The one they used to, the rubber that we used to wrap our bamboo in, the Aviacy, you know, the black ones. Yeah. All those ones, they don't get collected. Because of time motion study, if you want to collect 1 to 4 gallon equivalent by weight of those plastics, you have to walk, or you have to, the time motion will say you have to do about 1,000 motions before you get one. And because this is an economic incentive mechanism, nobody collects those ones, even though markets exist for them. You understand? So you are better off collecting those plastics that are heavier than the very thin ones. That is why we have decided that we are creating this country where there's human settlement, where there's human interaction with grades. The details will come later. And we are using a preventive mechanism whereby when we employ these private people collecting, I want that job to remain in private hands, not government agencies. But the district assemblies and whatnot will be doing the supervisory role and doing the delineation and doing the coordination role. That would be the end of their job. The actual correction, if I had my way, would be in private hands. But the different thing is that it is preventive in nature, in the sense that if you take one grade, let's say 1 square kilometer, and we all agree, I have a team of actuaries working on this, so the figures will come clear that if we see 20 or let's say 30 discrete plastics in a given area, per given time, let's say 1 month's time, then you will suffer a penalty deduction. So if you do not see any plastics in your domain where you have been assigned, then you have rewarded maximum. But if we see plastic, then you suffer a great point deduction, so that your money. So by that concept, we believe that we can, remember, we are not going to abolish the incentive-based mechanism too. But this incentive is preventive in nature, and you will be rewarded according to the number of plastics not seen in your area of operation. That is what Mr. Sabo was referring to. But the details will come. So, the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of my ministry, let me put it that way, local government, decentralization and rural development, sanitation and water resources, fisheries and aquaculture, and development, among other ministries, and here I will make education to a key ministry. These institutions are working together to deal with this international environmental menace. by promoting domestic recycling industry like I alluded to, as an incentive for people to create investments and business. That's what we can call it, cash your trash. By providing the appropriate policy, legislation and regulatory framework that protects both the environment and recycling industry. And then arresting wanton abuses, polluters of sensitive marine and coastal habitat. Yes, I've always said that as for legislation, it should be the last option, but we will look at legislation. And then if we are gradually turning it into, if you like, a policing entity, because humankind is very, very recalcitrant indeed. If you let us alone, we will do what we think. It's only when we gather collectively that we talk all this rosy language. If you leave us alone, some amongst us will do the very opposite. I don't know what animal is sitting in us. And by the way, we are the most dangerous animal that God created. You think about it. If there was no human person on this earth, all these problems that we are addressing today, that's why we are already individual, like there will be no problem. That is why when it comes to this crisis of shooting, it's an individual matter. It is not even the collective. If you close your eyes and imagine for one that you do not exist, nobody exists, will there be any pollution on this earth? The other animals know better. They are in this manner. They are even more sensible than us. And I'm not insulting anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, revitalization is the goal, and collective actions is how we will make it happen. Hence, the strongest government on earth cannot solely clean up the menace of marine pollution by themselves. And by the way, as for marine pollution, it's a big problem because it's also a casualty of the world order. In one breath, we want to keep the oceans open. So most of the laws in the United Nations system do not apply, or even when they apply, it's very, very rudimentary because we do not want nationalism to apply in the deep ocean. People will block shipping lanes and whatnot. But the downside of it is that is why countries or big companies are able to dump waste in these oceans with abandon. So Ghana is one of the drivers for a new look at this policy, and Ghana is pushing. The president was in France recently, and is pushing for action so that there will be regulation, particularly on plastics in the oceans, whilst preserving the sanctity of the independence of countries to use ocean lanes in international waters. Madam Chairperson, the current state of oceans management in the country requires an intense public health campaign to engage citizens, businesses, schools, hospitals, and other institutions, especially the media, to cultivate a positive attitude towards working collaboratively to keep the menace of marine pollution down and sustainably manage our wonderful marine resources for future generations and the national sustainable development. I wish to conclude my address with this observation. I believe strongly that whatever we throw at the sea will have its revenge. It will surely throw it back at us with even a very, very, very big price to pay.
The theme for the celebration calls us to act. And so we are called to have new strength, to put in new energies in order to save the ocean. And if we can do that, we need policy. And I'm happy that the minister told us that government has put in place a number of policies, especially the one on plastics. And I believe that when you drive along the coast are indeed very polluted. And so once we have policy, we also need legislation. And maybe it is about time we looked into our laws to see whether we have the full complement of legislation that will help us to fight pollution, especially pollution of the ocean. And if not, maybe it is time for us to bring in new legislation to help us in the fight to save the ocean. And I want to assure you that Parliament is ever ready to assist and to cooperate, and any legislation that may be needed, or any amendments of any legislation, existing legislation that may be needed, be assured that Parliament stand ready to assist in promulgating that legislation. But I'd like to touch on education, which I find to be the most critical component of the whole conversation. Because everything that we are talking about will boil down to the human attitude and conduct.
The fight against pollution seems to be becoming tougher and tougher. The Teshisangona beach, like many other beaches in the country, continues to be engulfed with filth. This is the main cause. The Sango Lagoon, which empties itself into the sea at the beach. The lagoon carries rubbish from various water bodies and drains along its path into the sea. The cause of the pollution is mainly indiscriminate dumping of refuse into water bodies and drains. This canker has put the lives and livelihoods of the fisherfolks in danger.
Because what you plastic rubber say, "Can you find a guy? Can you want it? The fair show me no back. But I will have may I pick up to fair, regular thing, you come up now, ya pacobi. You are listening. Look at the government of any fair local Nicadi, waste materials any ban show me. And you're going to get Sagotana. Calling materials here, and you're low, Jimmy, why you bow? Scapping a guy, and show now.
Find any egba low and
no try get low, can women again. Loe ameba because loe my yoni time ni anyo yaba duame ona no joy dinu ni wa mefu ade rubber can be ni mi sent everything chemicals can be yen lo ga loe nu e pe ko me gbo lo ga de me chape loe ba je don no do problem no face lo ga ni to na me ba se no ya nwe to ni bro petrol yen se de me no do problem no face o sika janya sana pe ko gbe o me ya yen ne no po wa no dudu e ko.
Show me an yapon temi, my baby won't tell me. Yeah, I'm bigger than she. No idea what do take away. Can you get my young Nibic? Can you Linwally? Nay, I show me. What none of it, you know, now can you only. A bow and other petrol fit okay. The Wagas petrol, no buy a petrol bar, because the Nuna, who are my oh, a shot. Judge in this annual shop. Why not Luni Bano Bonmabo? Esa ni homo. I got any Bano Bonmo in Chom magazine. Meanwhile, I wouldn't call to you, I may ya, Sabola. A can lower bone by me far. You are caught by the friend, dear folk me. Emma, a girl was she, Yanakamajan, Nibiano. Bien, Emma, Tafat, Tafas, when it's low common. No, na minimum number of old momino. Neka one name, I get down and pick up a friend and about your chum. In your yard, my Mali, Capasa, Nanya, I got William and Tunia, the many after no Babian, Tona Bian.
Most of the garbage you find here is plastic waste.
No, they were in Shona before Chuchuguajan against Shona. Ona chuchugwa je again show na yo shi ke ba shi be ko ma inu lele wona ge bola jo mami gbe ke ba show na ni chwa ge ba tin na show na ni efe wona gba wa lele what assembly ni je wo yin yelo ni je wula chemeye onupa ni nye wo yin ebie abo assembly lele wona wole ahwa ge assembly e kongongo twa ye hefin stile no ya no e ya no twa ge kaje nyumbo anye fi alo nyumbo ashan para ko te gota ami ami wo ami bola jin anga fi mi ni ami ke wo bola ami ke wo gota ijin ami do e fi otomo ke nyumbo ashan fi o ni ke no bana ke lo ma mi bola fi e ke ba bienene e hawo onono wo te assembly on po jage wo ka assembly awi age akuche mfi akuche mi sane ani ne ke bola lo le neku e ma akuche ami bona fe ni anya fe mi ni age bola jin ewo mi agbe no ni je nyunwe bola anwe wona ke bola chisi je ku me mamu e ku me shin ba to no shikaji na me o iwo efi oto mo we ne te o chile bi na egule yin wan siripo ne igba ikoko ibanu keke bola ya wu bola chisi mi abai shahedi ake na-enye egwu ewe ka atụ ka nyụmọ onye na-eke wugo taa mi lukwa wugo taa mi ni tafache ka nyụmọ onye nyụmọ kele ya nwe shekele fi omini eba ha wo nsho na de fi otumo na agba ike ha o
wo fa na nyesumoni aka he nyeshikalu ke ba bola jin
no di right esa ni ayo wo shika koni assembly epe neke bola bi ni ejage mogwe ne kula ne techile bi ni le fine ekula ekoni aba ke ba ne ke bola ba wo mene me chinse me sana epe 1 cedi lo 2 cedi de kula ye koni lo bole ka to kanyumo onye kanyumo sha na ekwabi ewewo gotam de ba jele gbe e kampunu ya o ona ni je bola hun pompe so bana ke to e ke ni bi nyemi wana ka atishmange na ya wo bana ke to e gba bukan titanos ke ni bi e na gba iwa ona wo otwa o fashion ke wo wuleme keji ye kula onye ma mi tuga ni nyumo onye na ni mo ke bola wo me na mi e wo report kula o ba di bo ba gwa abuwa ko ni bo report age ni no fe ni agwa abu ni ona amege ngba wo na wa denje do wo na bi e we mo fi onu wo yo ken assembly ni lele twa ngogo bu ni sisane engbe twa ka o mo fe mu na ababobo sane black bo ye ke black o ba ye black bo ga ye 1 cedi lo 2 cedi si black bo ye ke mi jele keke if fine what say gongo ba fi ko shi o igbe
fami na gba ike ha anyeye nshonena
je ni wo yo he ke itension mi ni jibola ke itension mi roba je ni futule lo ya holo roba mi obana keke tumo wo wule me ponu won wi ne kole nyin bo ake kole ha wo na gba nye pi ake na ye oni shion lo be pi lo ka wa ma ba ke oni jo eson ni bola son ni to ba je bola je wo wule me wo ke wo nsho mi wule nyu nu votik piota wo he wo nu so bana ke votik roba jinke di bana lo ya ho mi ke fi na gba won ke fi na kan won ke fet ni ha lo jin because lo ni ntwa ga nyi e ba da e ba grow e ba fo ona shineke lo ni abote roba mi adule obana ga kuma na ba do efun obana efin po nigin ntwa ga obaye shi wo be ni asipa mumu lo wole la ni ikma agbomocho e so na boni ko na ga lo e roba mi o je roba mi oye se kule ne gbo akra na gbele ke fet ko ewe mi jo wonye wole ona do na ga bola hu ke lo enwe nu e ha wo na gba iwa
fa na echi assembly wo mo ba je mi eche nchon ngode ni nene eke nu efe ke shi afe ba wo dele chole sangona sangwe mi fami ni wona ke efe na gba fio ake kenu wona wulu ne o ege na gba ba bie do wo ke machines ba wo je nchi ke de sete mi no ni ba boto yo mi ke ton e life wo je no nchi do wo mba no ba boto fami den nche do ba je fami fe bi na fe ke no gbo ni ninu ani afe mi ni e ba ni ba ho kuni na gba ni yo nye bie ne na de ka fe no.
The Lejekuku Municipal Assembly, which supervises the occasional cleaning of the Sango Beach, is yet to fulfill its assurance of clearing the beach. There are fears that should the situation remain the same, there will be more rubbish in the ocean than fish.
We no go fishing, we no go fishing, we no go fishing. We no go fishing, we no go fishing, we no go fishing. You give holiday to farmer, I'm alive. Even big gas and tractor, I'm a lie. Recognition and structure, I'm a lie. Scholarship too, I'm a lie. Why you no do so for the fisherman? Not even telephone, casa, pa, chale yanko, akamela, skotoka, enek, a pueba, water, cocha. The fisherman to a conco, demonstration we go, Gamenti a fenoco, the banu one kelebo, in a fisherman to a conco, demonstration we go, Gamenti a fenoco, the